It is my privilege to present the following program that was inspired by the way American businesses and organizations have responded to the events of September 11th. It's part of a special series produced by Heartbeat of America. Having served in the United States Navy for many years, I fully appreciate the important role small and middle-sized businesses play in the very fabric of our country, and I salute the professionals who lead these companies and thus keep America strong. They are the very backbone of our free enterprise system, and today on this program, you will meet the individuals behind one such organization. I'll be back later in the program to introduce the Keeping America Strong Award. And now, let's learn more about the organization we are honoring today.
Today, the eyes and ears of the 21st century are focused on new developments, new technologies, new emerging companies. We're on the scene to bring it to you as it happens.
We anchor from our new studios in Los Angeles and then go out all over America to get to the heart of the story.
I'm Bert Tenzer.
I'm Bella Shaw.
I'm Doug Llewellyn.
And I'm William Shatner, and this is Heartbeat of America. Since 2001, our television series has been featuring entrepreneurial companies that move our country and our economy forward. Standing by at our studios in Los Angeles is one such company.
And I'm Doug Llewellyn here in our studios in Los Angeles with our guests who are from a company named Iso-Tex Diagnostics. This company is headquartered in Friendswood, Texas, and that is near the Houston area. I should point out this company is an FDA-approved facility for drug manufacturing of radiopharmaceuticals and pharmaceuticals. It sounds complex. It is complex, and we're going to get into that in just a few moments. First, let me introduce our guests. Here on my left is the president of the company and the head of manufacturing, Thomas Maloney. On his left is Jesse Hernandez, who's a health physics specialist and the radiation safety officer for the company. And on his left is Arthur Camp, who's the lab director. He is a nuclear medicine chemist. Gentlemen, you bring a lot of credits and a lot of credentials to this field. It's very interesting to have you here. Now, before we begin, Mr. Maloney, a few moments ago you had a chance to actually chat with William Shatner and answer some questions. Let's take a look at that and see how it went.
Welcome. Good to have you with us. All right, let's begin by telling me what you do and who benefits from it.
We are a small business who deals in monoclonal antibodies, peptides, chemicals, and our process, we label these materials with a variety of isotopes. And the purpose of this is to treat and negate cancer. These materials are injected, and the particular peptide or monoclonal antibody will go to the tumor site, and then the radiation will negate the tumor.
Well, you're obviously successful. So what do you attribute your success to? Any particular philosophies or strategies?
Bill, we're a very small company. My two associates have been with us for 21 years now, and we work together. The second part of it is the work that we're doing is relative to patients, and we are extending their lives, and we're making the quality of life during this period of time much more agreeable to the individuals.
Well, that was very interesting indeed. You sound like this is a very, very interesting company indeed. Let me ask you to begin by telling me, what are the big problems in the medical field when it comes to the subjects of cancer and tumors?
One of the problems is, since our products are radioactive, the introduction to that was a bomb, and it really hurt a lot of people. And unfortunately, that's been carried forward ever since. But in our activities, we are labeling peptides and monoclonal antibodies, and those are going to tumors, and then the radiation aspect of it will negate those tumors.
Well, let me turn to you, Arthur, and ask you to give me your definition of what this company does. What does Iso-Tex Diagnostics do?
Well, like Mr. Maloney said, we specialize in radio labeling or attaching radioactive isotopes onto bioactive peptides or proteins. Now, by doing this, we do this under the guidelines of the FDA.
Right.
following their rules and regulations to make sure everything is suitable for a human injection.
You know, when you say attach, I think it's hard for someone who's not really involved in your field and probably not a physicist or a chemist themselves to really grasp what you mean by when you say attach something to a tumor. How do you attach what you're developing here to a tumor?
Well, basically, if you have a bioactive protein or peptide,
Okay.
it has a natural attraction for a particular type of tumor or cancer cell.
Okay.
By attaching a radioactive component to that peptide, which has an affinity for a particular type of tumor, it will go throughout the body once it's injected, attach itself to the cancer or the tumor cell, deliver its radioactive payload, thereby destroying the cancerous cell and only the cancerous cell and not the surrounding tissue or organs that are in the general
So
area.
it really works right on the source itself, then, doesn't it?
It's like a heat-seeking missile to that particular
No kidding.
cell.
And as the radiation officer for the lab, where does your role come in? I mean, radiation, we all know, is very dangerous. So I guess you're really there to oversee to make sure the radiation doesn't spread beyond the target. Is that really it?
To make sure, first of all, that nothing hazardous happens at the facility, to maintain.
I mean, during the manufacturing process.
During the
of any-
manufacturing
so it doesn't harm
process.
anybody in the lab.
Yeah.
Am
Yes.
I right? Okay, all right. No, so you're not focusing primarily on hitting the tumor. You're focusing on radioactive activity in the laboratory process because you have radioactive stuff.
And not only that, we have regulations and rules that are mandated by the government and the state. And Jesse is very apt on handling all of those issues.
Okay,
He's in charge of safety.
and that's a key issue.
Correct.
Very, very key issue. All right, let's talk a little bit about how. Number one, I need to ask you how effective this treatment that you're doing really is on cancers and tumors.
Well, we have one doctor in Houston who, at this point in history, we primarily are dealing with terminal cancer patients.
Right.
And we are using a product called Indium-111, and that attacks tumors and cancer in the intestinal tract. And that doctor, last report, is getting 70% survival of these patients that he's doing. The other 25%, had they found out about us sooner, probability is they would still be alive. But he has had a tremendous response to the indium and that particular cancer system.
Is it fair to say that what you are doing are would generally come under the category of alternative methods of treating cancer and tumors?
Well, it's not alternative. It's a unique way of addressing the problem. And
Oh.
it's, excuse me.
It's all right, go ahead.
It's unique in the fact that these are injectable materials. They go right to the site, and you can scan the patient. You can see where the tumor is. You can see the size of it. And then more importantly, in subsequent doses, and the patient will go home and be monitored by their individual doctor. If he sees there's a change in the white count, they come back in and get a booster shot. Now you can see the size of the tumor now compared to what it was. And you can be on a program where you are selectively reducing that tumor back to zero.
So what we're talking about is the concept of radioimmunotherapy. Now, by using radioimmunotherapy, you not only can attach it on the molecular level, but you can also incorporate that with surgery, chemotherapy. There's not just one specific method or one specific way to treat tumors or cancer. You can use a multitude of different processes.
I should point out that the people who are being treated that you're manufacturing this product for, they're under field tests. They're under tests that are authorized by the FDA.
Correct.
Right?
It's called a clinical trial.
A clinical trial, and you have to be involved with a doctor who's actually been approved to conduct the trial
Yes.
in order to benefit from this kind of treatment. And I guess what really, or explain to me what happens if the treatments prove to be effective. then, and I know these tests take a long time. They go on for years, don't they?
Yes.
So eventually, is it the hope that they would become approved by the FDA and then be able to be, used by doctors all over the country?
Well, basically, you have to go through 3 phases. Phase 1 clinical trial, Phase 2 clinical trial, and finally Phase 3 clinical trial.
Okay.
And once you've completed all of those steps, then the FDA will grant you approval to use that particular drug.
Who do you do this work for primarily? Who are the people who come to you?
They are universities, there are corporations, and they're individuals who are doing research in this particular field. It's called nuclear medicine.
But you also are manufacturing. You're the manufacturing
Correct.
facility. You make the drugs.
Yes.
You do this for some pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
They're your prime customer. Is that
Yes.
right?
Correct. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right. How about individuals? Do the individuals come to you?
No, the normal technique would be that we would have an individual that'll call, and what I have to explain to them is that their individual physician has to call Dr. Del Pisan or someone in the clinical world and speak with him. And then if they agree that that patient is eligible and will function well within that clinical study, they'll be invited to join that clinical test.
What is interesting in talking with you, it seems that a lot of these tests that you're involved in, and you see the results, they really are very effective, aren't they?
They're extremely effective. And just like Mr. Maloney said, there are some cases where we have greater than 70% success or remission rate. Sometimes we get letters from patients that have received some of our drug products. And these are patients that were told to go home and get your life in order.
That they were going to die.
You only have 60 days left to live.
Right.
After they have obtained, after they have obtained an injection or dose of this product, now they've gone 1 year, 2 years, some cases 5 years and beyond, and their quality of life has increased dramatically. They've gone from a bedridden patient to a patient that's outside watering their garden.
It must be very frustrating for you then to know that there are effective methods for treating cancers that the general population just can't take advantage of yet.
We had one girl come in and came back to us, and to look at her, she was a picture of health. And she told us that she had lost weight, a tremendous amount of weight. The pain was so great, she was on morphine. They put a pump on her, and she found out about the study. And when she came in to the hospital and got the dose of radiation, first night the pain disappeared, and she slept all night. Said the next night I was eating food. The next night I slept all night long, and I hadn't slept in a year and a half all night long. And the third night I go home, and here I am today. She was a picture of health. Hair all grew back in. She looked beautiful.
And I understand that a lot of the people that are being treated in the tests with nuclear medicine like this really don't have to undergo therapy. I mean, not therapy. They don't undergo chemotherapy. They do this kind of therapy that you have.
This particular type.
And they don't have to lose their hair and go through all that pain from chemo, right?
This particular treatment that we're referring to addresses NETs, or neuroendocrine tumors. Now, these tumors can be removed surgically, but they have a more dramatic response from a injection of this particular product. Now, this product is made from a patented procedure that we have at Iso-Tex for the purification of the product, which makes it more potent in the delivery system.
Why did the pharmaceutical companies come to you? Why do they come to your lab to do this development of their medicines for them?
We're just plain good in what we do.
You know, that's a pretty damn good answer, Rick. Down to it, if you want the truth. You're good.
Yeah, and the other thing is we can respond quicker than a big corporation. It doesn't take as long for us to do the technology transfer, to make 3 batches and all have to pass. And then Jesse does all the freight, does all the paperwork for that, which is complex. shipping radioactive packages on aircraft is a lot of paperwork. And that part, we cut through that pretty fast. We will be doing a patient this Friday when we get back, 2 patients. This is for inoperable brain tumor. And we will do that on the weekend. That has to go out with Jesse in dry ice. It has to be at -70 all the way to the hospital.
In other words, you're going to be making specific doses for the
Correct.
patient, right?
That's right.
You also do medicine that you're developing on your own,
Yes.
in addition to what you do for the pharmaceutical companies. And what about that aspect of your business?
Well, we're doing one product right now for a major hospital, and that's for bone cancer, and that's internal bone cancer. And we've done all that technology transfer and all the studies, made the batch books, finished all the QC, and we'll probably start patients mid-December with that study. And the one that we're working on now is samarium 153, and that's in the case of a bone. This is on the outside of the bone. If you had a joint, this cancer would be on the outside of the joint. And you don't fall down, that joint gives away, and then you fall down.
Okay.
So we are making that for that particular one.
Well, it's
I'd like
very
to add a
interesting what
couple-
you're going on. We got to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to get into the doctors who are involved in the studies, because I'm sure there's some cancer patients may see this and want to know where they can go to get help, and this will be a big help to them. We'll do that when we come back in just a moment. We are back again with our guests from Iso-Tex Diagnostics in Friendswood, Texas. This is a company that is heavily involved in nuclear medicine for the treatment of cancer and tumors. Again, on my left, Tom Maloney, who's the president of the company, Jesse Hernandez, the health physics specialist, and on his left is Arthur Camp, who's the lab director. He is a nuclear medicine chemist. These are very smart gentlemen here indeed. Let me ask you a little bit about the doctors who are working with your company and these tests. And when people contact you, you listen to their stories, and then you can kind of refer them to these doctors, and these are FDA-approved tests. Tell me about them.
Primarily, people will be referred to us. We'll get a phone call, and if we can help them, we will. If not, we try to find some institution that is doing research and clinical work in their problem, and then we refer them there. Primarily, in the case of Dr. Del Pasan, he is doing the intestinal cancer aspect of it. So if we get someone that fits into that category, we ask that their clinical doctor call Dr. Del Pasan.
All right, now what about, let's start with Dr. Eugene Woltering. He's in New Orleans.
He's at LSU in New Orleans, and Arthur will describe that program with Dr. Woltering.
All right, tell me about it, Arthur.
Dr. Woltering came up with the idea of radio labeling methylene blue. Methylene blue has been out in the marketplace for years. For
What
treatment.
is methylene blue?
Methylene blue is a dye that is used to treat breast cancer. And the way that it treats breast cancer, once a physician performs surgery to determine the sentinel lymph node or the lymph node that's infected, once he makes the incision, the lymph node is invisible. You can't see it. But once the drug methylene blue has been injected, the lymph node turns a bright blue color. So he's able to excise that lymph node, but if he doesn't have another means of determining whether or not all of the contaminated lymph node has been removed, he can close the patient up and the infected lymph node can return. So what we've done is we've attached a radioactive isotope to the methylene blue. Now once the bright blue lymph node has been removed, if he goes behind the surgical incision spot with a radioactive detection meter, if he hears any audible signs of any traces of radioactivity, then he knows there's some submicro portions of the infected lymph node still there. So by using the audible and the visual, he's able to dramatically improve his dissection techniques as far as removing an infected lymph node tissue, which causes breast cancer.
So he's having good success.
Oh, he's having a lot of success. He has an ongoing study right now with over 60 patients. So we're helping him out with producing those doses too.
And the way he finds other spots, this ion chamber that Arthur's speaking about is like a pen. So he has the audio part in his ear,
Yeah.
and he can go into that and listen for clicking. It's like a decon job. If he hears anything, he removes it.
How about that? All right, let's get to Dr. Randy Jensen. He's in Salt Lake City.
Jesse's going to talk about him.
Jesse, tell me about him. What's his study doing?
Dr. Jensen is working with a monoclonal antibody, which is genetically engineered to look for specific DNA or histones, which H1,
Yeah.
which looks for complex, is mainly in multiform glioblastoma. With this type of treatment, what we do is we radio-label this monoclonal antibody with iodine-131, and that antibody in turn looks and goes for that DNA into the center of that tumor cell, with its releasing its payload directly into the center of that tumor, in turn killing that tumor from the inside out. That glioblastoma multiforme is a very aggressive type of brain tumor with, once it's been diagnosed, only has about a 12-month success rate. In our clinical studies, we've been able to show with Peregrine Pharmaceuticals and Utah and other institutions that we've been able to increase the survival rate, some patients up to 5 years.
Wow, that's
I'd like
pretty
to add
good.
one thing to that. When we talk about radio labeling monoclonal antibodies,
Yeah.
we're talking about a procedure that is extremely difficult to do. Not only do you have to be mindful of the amount of radioactivity, you have to be mindful of the size of the tumor, you have to be mindful of the type of radiation, you have to be mindful of the reaction to put the two components together.
Yeah.
Because anything that's not done correctly will invalidate your QC, or the dose may not be effective for the patient.
Very interesting. We're running short on time, so maybe Del Pasan, you talked about him. That's Dr. Abram Del Pasan. He's in Houston.
Correct.
And then there's one other who's involved in the test, Dr. Sue Oricio. Okay, all right. Now, she's in Iowa City.
Yes.
She's at the University of Iowa.
Correct.
What's her test?
She is dealing with children, and she said it's unfortunate, but a lot of small children have inoperable brain tumors and other type of cancer. So we've developed a procedure using yttrium-90 that we tag onto a material. That material migrates to the tumor area, and then the yttrium-90 eliminates the tumor. And she's had extreme success. We've done about 12 patients there now with success, and she has an FDA-approved clinical study for 60 patients. And she has sent us a letter where you can actually see the tumor and a scan. And that's the advantage of this overall program. Anybody can read a scan. You can see the tumor, it lights up the Christmas tree, its size. More importantly, as you progress down the elimination of the tumor, you can watch it die, and all of a sudden it's gone. You can't do that with chemotherapy.
Yeah.
You can say, how do you feel? I'm very sick.
Well, gentlemen, it sounds like you're involved in some very, very beneficial studies that are going on, and hopefully, as a result of all this, some of these medicines that you're developing and manufacturing will become available to the general public before long. Hopefully. We'll be back in just a moment. We are back again with our guests from Iso-Tex Diagnostics in Friendswood, Texas. Mr. Maloney, talk to me about some of the medicines that that have been tested and approved and that you're manufacturing now.
Well, two of them are. The first one is Glofil, and that measures the filtration rate through your kidney. And that's used extensively on transplant patients to make sure that it's functioning correctly. Second one is the one we're developing is for Alzheimer's, and we label a product for that. And Arthur will explain the details of that procedure.
What do you call that?
Basically, we're radio labeling testosterone, which has a natural attraction for beta amyloid plaque, which is directly responsible for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So by radio labeling this testosterone, we want to develop a diagnostic test, and not only a diagnostic test, but a therapy test. by increasing the amount of activity, maybe we'll be able to destroy the excess buildup of plaque that causes Parkinson's and
And that's
Alzheimer's.
plaque in the brain you're talking about.
correct.
It actually blasts the plaque away, right?
That's
That's our
theoretically,
hope.
that's what
That's our hope.
we're hoping for.
So hopefully there could be a treatment that could be really effective for Alzheimer's
We have
down the road.
labeled one batch already.
Very, very good. What do you see for the future of this company that's now 30 years old?
It's going to carry on the way it's doing things. There are new calls every week that we get for new products, and then you have to go through the procedure of developing the labeling, the stability, the sterility, and the pyrogenicity of it, and get it into a batch book so that all the batches come out the same. And those products will go to any cancer area that they can detect. It looks very promising as far as extending the life and the quality of the life of cancer patients.
Well, what's interesting is that you've been around for a long time, and you gentlemen, how long have you been with the company, Arthur?
Over 21 years.
How about you?
21 years.
Look at this. There's three of you, and it's a relatively small company, but obviously doing some very high-tech work and very successful at what you're doing.
But we all act as a family.
A
We've
big
been
family.
A big family.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we all know each other, and we all love each other, and we all enjoy our work.
Well, it's readily apparent. It's readily apparent. It's really been a pleasure to have you here. This has been very interesting, and I'm sure there's some viewers out there that have been absolutely fascinated by what you've had to say and have learned a lot. I've learned a lot, too. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We have been watching the operations of an organization which is doing its part to keep America strong, and we've been learning from its leaders about what they're doing to help move our country forward. This organization represents companies across our great nation that embody the spirit, dedication, know-how, and can-do attitude which has made America the great nation it is today. And now let's present the Keeping America Strong Award.
Now it's my honor to present this prestigious award to Tom Maloney, who's the president of Iso-Tex Diagnostics of Friendswood, Texas, for the outstanding work his company is doing to help keep America strong and healthy. Mr. Maloney, it's a pleasure to give this to you. Congratulations.
I thank you on behalf of Arthur and Jesse and all the people who come in early every morning and work weekends and nights to get the product out. And I'm certain all the people who benefit from it and their families appreciate the products too. And thank you for the opportunity to put this information out to the general public.
Congratulations for earning the Keeping America Strong Award, which honors innovators and leaders like you who are the heartbeat of America.
For more information on this company and their products, you can visit their website. It's www.Iso-Tex Diagnostics.com, and it's Iso-Tex, T-E-X, Diagnostics.com.
I'm William Shatner. Thanks for watching.